Stage 18 of this 2015 Giro d'Italia, leaving Switzerland and Melide all the way down to Lake Maggiore, Largo Maggiore and Verbania. A good finish after a first category climb, one for the breakaway perhaps, if the guys in the peloton want a quieter day before the two huge mountain stages that will decide the final general classification of this Giro d'Italia. Back into Italy then, the first time we ever climb Monte Ologno on this race, and a fast finish, a downhill finish into Verbania. 170 kilometers in total. A chance of glory for somebody if they can get away on that climb. Let's go and join Juan Antonio Fletcher and Ashley House.
Stage 18 of the 98th Giro d'Italia brings the riders back from Switzerland into Italy. Yesterday it was Lake Lugano. Today Giro Extra is coming to you from the shores of Lago Maggiore. You've just seen the stage profile, and today a breakaway got away after 45k. Juan Antonio, with a big climb at the end, what do we expect today?
I think we will expect a breakaway. We were talking about that yesterday already. It's going to be a big breakaway today. Many riders were trying today for getting to that breakaway, and finally it seems like that breakaway is the bunch gonna let go of that breakaway. So I don't expect any team controlling for a bunch sprint, for sure not, and for GC, especially Team Saxo, don't expect them controlling. It's good for them if the breakaway just goes and as much time as possible, far away from the bunch, no one in general classification there, so it's gonna be good. I mean, it's gonna be kind of, hopefully for the GC guys, more an easier day, and they could think, they will be able probably to think more about tomorrow and after tomorrow's stage. They're going to be crucial for them.
More on today's stage a little later on. First though, let's look back at yesterday, which finished in a sprint won by Sacha Modolo, but we're on board with the giant Alpecin rider Luka Mezgec. Okay, let's think about today's stage then. It finishes with Mount Ologno. It's the first time it's been in the Giro. How tough is it?
On the paper, it's tough enough. It's over 10K, 13% grades at some points, most of the time 10%. And I was reading from the riders, they are kind of worried because they don't know that climb. They never raced there. It's apparently a very narrow road, especially at the beginning, going uphill. So it's kind of, when riders go to a place they know and been before, it's kind of question mark there. They know what can happen. Honestly, I don't expect any GC changes there. They probably GC guys will expect more. They will wait more for tomorrow's stage. But yeah, for the breakaway, it's going to be crucial, especially with with how many, for so many riders up there on the road. That's going to be the crucial, where the battle is going to start. I think the breakaway is going to be cooperating until the bottom of the climb, and from the climb, it's going to start the battle.
Great stuff, Juan Antonio. Thank you very much indeed. Yesterday was all about the red jersey. Today there are 32 King of the Mountains points available at the top of that Category 1 climb. That's why I'm wearing my maglia azzurra today, my blue jersey. But let's see what happens with your commentators now, live on Eurosport, the home of cycling. See you later.
Thanks, Ashley, and a very good afternoon, everybody. Apologies, we're a little late today, but the third longest match in the history of women's tennis at Roland Garros today. But we're here on the Giro. It's sun shining from Melide in Switzerland all the way back to Verbania, right on the shores of Lake Maggiore. 54.3 kilometers remain. We've had a huge break go away today. Time enough to tell you about them 12 minutes and 43 they have. Nocentini's there for Age de Sala Mondial. Alongside him is Francesco Manuel Bongiorno from Bardiani. Philippe Gilbert and Aman Wana, the two riders from BMC. Chavanel there from EM Cycling. De La Cruz from Ethics Quickstep. The man in your pitch on the left-hand side is Matteo Busato from Southeast, joined by Peter Veining as well, won a stage last year and 4 years ago as well. Davide Villela, the Italian rider from Cannondale Garmin, with Chad Hager, a debutant from the United States riding for Giant Alpecin. Maxim Belkov, a winner in Florence 2 years ago for Team Katusha, and Konstantin Svitsov out there in the break yet again. The break was a little bigger, but there was a crash involving a motorbike, Roberto Ferrari and Damiano Cunego. Bad news, because Damiano Cunego's been forced to abandon this Giro d'Italia today as a result of that crash. He was there and probably would have been one of the big favourites to take the win. It's pretty certain that somebody will take the win from this break now. First category climb coming up, and then a little trampoline on the way down the long descent. Takes us up to Premeno, then back down for a final flat 5 kilometres. As you can see, Tinkoff Saxo, all the GC teams enjoying themselves at the minute, looking to try and have a bit of a day off as far as that's possible, of course, for the moment. But you never know. People may have things planned for the descent. A couple of hellish mountain days coming up after this, and we'll review that, look forward to it, and of course enjoy the finale of this, what looks set to be a breakaway stage on the Giro d'Italia, right after this. A very good sunny afternoon to you all. Just under 50 kilometres to go, 12 minutes and 41 for the breakaway today. Nocentini, Bongiorno, Gilbert, Moinard, who's the best placed overall at 26 minutes and 21 seconds. So, as Sean Kelly was just telling me in the advert break, they're all set to go into the top 10 if this stays out like it is. De La Cruz there with Chavanel, Veining, Busato, Villela, Hager, Belkov and Svitsov. And Sean, it's certainly going to be a day for the breakaway today.
Yes, it's a break that's going to succeed, certainly, with 12:30 at the moment with 49.4 to go. But it wasn't an easy day to get out of the breakaway, sorry. It was a difficult one once again, but it's the first day where the peloton has really ridden as normal, with the race leader controlling it when the break got away and riding it, you know, at a more casual pace. And the riders we have out in front at the moment, it looks now with 49 to go, they shouldn't have any problems. Some of them will have to get to the finish today.
Well, when we get to the finish, this is the last kilometre on the left-hand side. Do you think they're all going to get to the finish here? But looking at that group, you can see a couple of candidates to be dropped on the first category climb, the Monte Alogna, can't you?
Yes, well, when you look at the climb, it's a serious one once again, and so, you know, a 10-kilometre climb, so it's going to be a big shake-up. And when you get to the top of the climb, of course, there's a long ways to go. It's, you know, still 36 kilometres, and it doesn't go downhill. There's another 10 kilometres where it goes down a bit, up again. So really, until you get to 26 kilometres to the finish, that's where it starts going downhill. And the downhill, very technically in the earlier part, the first number of kilometres. So, you know, if we have a race on here, we could see some spectacular downhill.
A lot of good descending to be done today. Thankfully, it's sunny and the roads are dry. Exactly what we wanted for that sort of thing to happen. We have a few former Giro stage winners in the break as well. Philippe Gilbert, one of them. Alongside him, of course, Maxim Belkov, who won in Florence a couple of years ago, as the now traditional pink bikes hang from just about anywhere along the course. Peter Veining has not only won a stage or two, he's actually worn the pink jersey too. 4 years ago in the 2011 Giro, just before it was taken off him by Alberto Contador. In the meantime, let's go and speak to Chavanel.
Avec Sylvain Chavanel de l'équipe IAM
Well, with Sylvain Chavanel, IAM Cycling rider, it's an ideal stage for a breakaway today. For you, maybe, have you had a look at the profile?
Est-ce que c'est une étape que vous avez éventuellement cochée ou ça c'est peut-être trop compliqué?
Aggressive rider and climbers, maybe, for you?
C'est l'équipe de leader qui fait la course. On voit que Saxo Bank.
Well, it's the leaders team that makes the race, and we're going to have to see if we can get in a break.
Pas très difficile en début de course, et il y a ce col qui est quand même difficile.
The profile's quite easy at the start of the stage, but of course the last climb is quite difficult. 9% percentage on the breakaway. It's going to be very, very difficult towards the end. And of course we've got the 30-kilometre downhill. I can try something.
Donc on se dit c'est peut-être la journée idéale
Ouais, je vais essayer.
Well, you're a good climber. You're not the best downhill, but you're not that bad. It could be one for you. Yeah, of course, I'm going to try and stay focused. I'll try and anticipate what happens. It'll be a big fight. Since the start of the Giro, every day it's been quite difficult to make a breakaway and hope that it goes the difference. There are a couple of intermediate sprint as well. Well, I'm not sure about the points and the gaps, and I'm not really sure where I am. I'm just thinking about getting in the breakaway and trying to win a stage. Sylvain Chavanel thinks that he's a candidate today, Sean, but quite a few in this group. You look at, I just mentioned it before we went to the interview, we've got former winners of stages here. Gilbert, of course, who's already won in this Giro. Belkov, whose only win on the road came here, and he had wonderful form in the Tour de Romandie. And, of course, Chavanel himself, who's there too. Peter Veining, though, is always a man to be watched. And Konstantin Svitsov, he's been in a couple of breaks already. He's looked really, really strong. He was good in the time trial. And Belarus already have a stage win at this Giro with Kirienka as well.
Yes, well, there's a number of candidates in this group, this breakaway. And I suppose Monard from BMC, he's up there in the general classification. That proves he is going well, he's climbing well. And for me, he could be the most danger one. Nocentini also, we did see the other day, he was climbing well when he was given a handout to Contador after having his mechanical. De La Cruz from Ethics Quickstep, also, you know, not maybe rather bad for a breakaway like this. So there's a lot of riders in here, you know, who you could see doing well. Belkov, as you mentioned, is he good enough? But it's all about, again, how much energy these guys have left at the end of a very difficult 3 weeks almost racing. And we can see here on the front of the peloton, actually, Française de Joux are starting to take it up, and that's for their best place, Alexander Genet, the man who we see doing the crazy descent the other day. We'll see that footage for a long time, and you know, he's up there in the general classification, really having a fabulous Giro, 9th overall. And as I mentioned, Hejsdal is in 10th position, so you know, that top 10, that top 12 in general classification, you know, they're going to start, you know, thinking now, we're after riding for this for almost 3 weeks, we cannot let it slip out, and that's the reason we're seeing the French team on the front. A bit of French rivalry, I suppose.
French rivalry as we look to go towards the climb. Back in Italy already now. You see the crowds are out in force, the villages, towns turn pink, and this is the beginning of the climb on this stage 18 to Verbania, going all the way down to Lake Maggiore. And this is the breakaway. De La Cruz, a fantastic climber. I would say that out of this group, then the best pure climber is probably Bongiorno. But he doesn't have the same stuff on the descent as a lot of the other guys, and neither does he has the same experience. Remember, it was here at this time in the race last year was cruelly denied the chance to go for the stage win with Mick Rogers when the fan interfered on Monte Zoncolan, knocking him off his bike. He's a man to look out for today. And with BMC having 2 riders in there, does that influence it anyway? Are they going to have a plan between them, Sean?
Well, I think the influence we've seen already, that's just under 12 minutes on advantage. Philippe Gilbert, you know, is probably riding and pushing on to try and keep this advantage as much as possible. We will see very quickly here on this climb, you know, who is in good shape and who is capable, and we can see Haga there immediately, you know, getting into difficulty, and we will see surprises. I think the riders you'd expect to be up there, they might start getting into difficulty because of fatigue is a big problem. And let's not forget, 35 kilometres from the summit of this GPM point to the finish, and it does kick up quite a bit. So if you're only maybe a little bit off at the top, I mean 20 seconds, 30 seconds, you could still make up a lot of that on the descent, because 35 kilometres and then 26 kilometres of total descending almost, you could pull back a lot of time. So whatever happens here, I think 11:48 at the moment, we have to see the stage winner coming out of this group.
Well, the pace is up behind, 57 kilometres per hour. I can tell you it was we've had a crash. We have had a crash. Some riders down. Somebody from Ethics Quickstep there is down. Rider from Sky down as well. Oh dear, oh dear. Not good. Viviani looks to be involved, just holding his wrist there. He's no longer in the red jersey. 65 is Ilio Kessa. And the man down there from Sky, Kirienka, is being seen to straight away. This is how it happened. Pace had just gone up.
Yes, the pace is upping all the time here. And we can see it's pretty much to the rear. A lot of riders here, a lot of Sky riders in this pile-up.
Well, the entire Sky team here. There is Viviani all waiting for the car. Looking for Leopold Koenig. Nieves there involved. Koenig is 195. Looking around, see if we can see his face. And a rider from CCC. Oh, that's not Sylvester Schmidt, is it? Doctors involved, just making sure riders can continue. Not good to see. There's Enal from Sky. Puccio involved as well. He was actually fined last night. Nieves hit the deck as well. Viviani. Sky car a long way down. Lotto Soudal with their own problems too. And the rider having the problems for Lotto Soudal is Lars Yttingback. He's been hurt as well. Needs to see the doctor's car, it seems. In fact, it's Stig Brooks, pardon me. David de la Cruz, in the meantime, laying it on the climb. Bongiorno's the man who can follow him at the minute. These are the two lightest men. Most adept on the climbs. Svitsov, jersey open behind in the Sky, just trying to follow him. And this is the man from Southeast, Matteo Busato, joining Chad Hager in being dropped. Well, the breakaway is reducing all the time. De la Cruz, Bongiorno, Svitsov is there alongside the man Gilbert from BMC. Nocentini staying with them as well. 5 riders remain from 12. There else being dropped on this climb. Behind, we've had a huge crash and an upping of the pace in the peloton. 10 minutes and 48 now. You can see the gap coming down considerably. Seems like there's a bit of chaos going on behind.
Yes, well, there's been chaos, and the race was really, starting to speed up when the crash occurred, and a lot of Sky riders, bikes tangled there, taking a long time to get moving again. And the way we see the front of the peloton here, they're racing at full speed at the moment. So for anybody tied up in that crash, it's going to be really difficult to see them getting back into the main peloton.
1 hour, the most advanced of the 2 BMC riders. Gilbert in this group led by Peter Weining. Belkov there as well alongside Villela and Chavanel. Upping at the pace from Francis Desjeux, and of course behind Movistar as well. Tinkoff Saxo having to respond. It's all kicking off in this group. We've seen a huge crash that's involved a lot of the Sky riders. Leopold Koenig though is safe and on the wheel of Alberto Contador. Front of the race on the left-hand side is down to 5 at the minute. Nocentini, Svitsov, and alongside them Moina, Bongiorno and De la Cruz. A little further down the road, you can just see in that shot the group of Chavanel and Gilbert. Alongside them, Belkov as well, Villela and Peter Weining. Developing all very nicely now. 43.6 kilometers to go. This is a hard climb here, Sean. It's the first time that we've ever seen the Monte Ologno, as it's called, a first category climb. 9.5 kilometers long, 9% of an average, and maximum gradient of 13%. This is a hard climb.
It is a very hard one, and it's 10.4 kilometers, and the gradient eased off a bit, but still 9%. Almost all the way, and it's going to be a difficult one. You have to, just get up at your pace, and we see the breakaway, the stronger ones are out front at the moment, but we can see back in peloton, the race is like it's going to the finish, and looks like...
Mikel Landa's been distanced, pardon me, because Mikel Landa's trying to get back onto the peloton, and you can see Tinkoff Saxo have remembered from the other day. They have remembered what happened when Alberto Contador had a puncture. Astana and Katusha pushed on, and this is, you can say, payback, isn't it?
Well, I think, yes, you could call it that. And the problem is it was starting to just, race on the front of the peloton. The crash occurred, and then, it just continues. And, of course, think of, riding now just to get position, to get onto this climb, because the positioning at the beginning of the climb is very important. And that's the reason it did start to speed up in the peloton, a number of kilometres away. And, unfortunately, anybody is in the crash, anybody is a mechanical problem. It's just, the wrong timing.
Well, Movistar riding for Amador as well at the front. They can see that maybe that podium opens up for them if Landa's been caught up behind. Fabio Aru didn't seem to be in that group there of Astana riders. He would be at the front, just about escaping in his white jersey, still visible in the peloton for that reason. The gap for the first time ever since the first 50-60 kilometres of this race has gone below 10 minutes. Instead, the first hour was a very quick one. The breakaway didn't really go for the first hour. 49.7 kilometres covered in that first hour. Hectic speed as Contador has a quick word with the men putting it on the front of the peloton. Ivan Basso there, who's riding at home today. Very close to his town of Varese. This is how it looks back in the group. Astana with a few riders in here, so it looked as though from that last shot we saw, Sean, that they were getting back onto the back of the main group.
Yeah. So it was. It looks okay, and we can see Contador just went to Sergio Paulino. Another
Not
crash.
what we wanted to see. Another crash. Another tight corner against the wall. One of the Movistar riders down there. And Yonis Aguirre was waiting. Yonis Aguirre was waiting for the rider that was involved there. Yonis Aguirre now is told to carry on. And I've just a little wonder whether that indeed is Andrea Amador. Certainly if Yonis Aguirre had been waiting up.
117.
It's Juan Jose Lobato. Juanjo Lobato. Lobato the sprinter, and that didn't look good for him, Sean, as Tinkoff Saxo pressing on at the front. Kruijswijk now he has to follow here. Aru is behind, and Contador obviously feeling good today.
Yes, and it looked like Contador was calling Sergio Paulino, the Portuguese rider, there to maybe slow it down, but we'll have to wait and see. It looks like they're pushing on.
We saw you with this jersey and you seem to be impressed by it. Is it right?
Impressed? No, I'm happy I can wear this jersey. It's always nice to have one in the big tour, and now hopefully I can maintain my position in the classement as well. And yeah, few hard stages to come, so I have to do my best. But I think I have the legs for it. Yeah.
What is your goal for the next days? Try to keep some points for this jersey, or try to increase your classification?
Yeah, it's hard to have so many goals. So for today, I'll focus more on the GC, and hopefully I'll come over the top with the first ones. And yeah, then the downhill will be important to Verbania, and maybe I can get some time still for the GC. So yeah.
So the team is focused on you for today.
Yes, it will. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Well, it's nice to chat to Steven Kruijswijk. However, it's all happening on the road. Sean, is this payback for the other day? Plain and simple, because it does makes no sense whatsoever with the 2 days coming up, the advantage that Contador has to go out on the attack here.
Yes, and when you consider everything, the general classification, he's a long ways ahead, Contador, and still 42 kilometres to go, a long descent here after this climb, and a lot of difficult days to come. You'd ask yourself why, but I think it's get back after the other day when the shoe was on the other foot exactly. When Contador had the problem, it was Astana who just pushed on. It looked to me that Contador was slowing things down when they got onto the climb, and you could expect him to race onto the climb to keep a position, keep a good position on the front of the peloton, but Contador going away here, this is a surprise to me.
Well, he made up a minute on the mighty Mortirolo. Surely he can't think he's going to bridge up to the break here. 9 minutes and 20. Alberto Contador has gone. And he's gone in some style again. This is a wonderful watch right now. And the fans listening to their radios, looking on their smartphones a minute ago, would not have expected, looking 5 minutes ago, Alberto Contador to be attacking out of this group. And in his own wonderful style, there he is on the pedals and riding away from the rest. Mikel Landa caught up and left well behind. Aru dropped, Kruijswijk dropped. And this is the carnage that's happening. Landa all on his own now and trying to make up. Being followed by Carlos Betancourt. Rigo Rands further back as well. Well, Alberto Contador wants a stage here at the Giro d'Italia, there's no doubt about that, but having seen the break go away 10 minutes today, you'd have thought, well, the next couple of days are absolutely vital for him in the mountains, just to see them out, maybe get the stage win there. Surely it's not realistic to see him doing something here. This would be one of these stages to go down in the history of the sport.
Well, it's difficult to see him bridging this gap, you know, considering that the break is, you know, strong out front. There's a number of riders wanting to push on. They're riding quite well, and of course yeah, you have the difficult terrain after the climb itself. So I can't see Contador coming across here, and you'd wonder why is he riding at the moment, because when you think of the days to come, very difficult days, but as you say, and as we reckon, I think it's just get back time from the other day when Astana really pushed it on when he was in difficulty with mechanical.
I remember. We were all waiting for the Tour de France, in fact, and Vincenzo Nibali must be sitting in his hotel room on the top of Mount Teide thinking, oh no, he's going to take his revenge on me. He's exacting it right now on the road. 9 minutes and 8 as Luis Leon Sanchez is there for Mikel Landa. Mikel Landa on the right-hand side there, just showing he's stronger than those guys, knowing he cannot wait anymore. He is attacking. There's Diego Rosa, he's leaving behind as well. 78 is Anthony Roux. And 101 on the right-hand side, Sander Alme of Lotto Soudal. 118 towards the back here, Dair Quintana. Quick word behind from Mikel Landa. And Landa going all on his own now. Couple of days coming up. GC guys, I think, would have been all happy to roll in together today, wouldn't they?
Certainly would, and you'd be expecting that, the race and just to get to that climb, this climb we're at the moment, and then settle down, and with around 10 minutes of a gap up to the breakaway, you would expect the general classification men to just control the situation. But again, they crashed, and the way they were riding here just to get onto the climb, and it just continues, and it's going to be a big battle now for Mikel Landa to close this gap to Contador. I suppose Contador wants to just show him, well, I had to do it the other day, you've got to do it now.
Expect the unexpected on the Giro d'Italia most days. Certainly expect the unexpected here on this 98th edition. It has been a very special race, and we're seeing it unfold again. Alberto Contador not down to attack today at all, but as we've seen down the years, he always attacks when you least expect it. All on his own, big climb to do. He's obviously feeling like $1 million in the mountains at the minute.
Yes, well, he has to be feeling extremely well, otherwise you'd not think of doing this. You'd be thinking the days to come when you'd say, well, it's been a little bit of a rest day. Of course, the first hour of racing was very fast, once again almost 50 k's per hour, but when it settled down, then it has been a bit of an easy day. The team have been controlling it, and you would expect him just to follow. And when you consider the general classification as well, if Landa was a really danger to him in the overall, he's over 4 minutes down, so that's Contador. You can never know what he's going to do. He's capable of attacking any time, any place.
Well, a lot of people thinking, well, he's just going to wait now. We're not going to see anything. He's resting up towards the Tour de France. He might have one day where he goes for a stage win. Not the case at all. Alberto Contador has a minute and a half on Mikel Landa here. Fabio Aru at the back of this group. He's in the white jersey on the left-hand side. Andrea Amador in this group as well, alongside Giovanni Visconti. In fact, it's Ruben Fernandez for me. There's Stefan Kruijswijk as well. Amador's the man at the back. 1:1:12 on his back, just alongside the number 21, Fabio Aru. 1:07 is Maxime Montfort, who's been having a good Giro d'Italia. Jürgen van den Broek there, who is 12th at 15 minutes 59 with the jersey open. 23 setting the pace is Tanel Kangat, the Estonian. Movistar deciding they're stronger than this group. And Ruben Fernandez is doing the job to try and keep Andrea Amador in touching distance. He has to think himself today as well, because although he's a very good descender, he's at 5 minutes and 48. He's very close to the podium. If he can put some time today into Fabio Aru, that's a winner for him as well.
Yes, well, it's all to play for in the general classification. The way the race is, opening up at the moment. A day we were expecting to be for the breakaway. That's where we were expecting the battle to be. But again, it's never changing in this Giro. It's been like that from day one, where there's battles occurring all the time. Not only the breakaway out front, but back in the general classification at the moment. And when you would look at what's to come in the next days, you'd expect him to take it a bit easier today, but it hasn't been the case all through this Giro, and it's not going to be the case today.
Well, with all that's happening behind, we've almost forgotten about the breakaway. 40.3 kilometres to go, and this is the situation at the head of the race. Gilbert and Chavanel making it on at the front. Nocentini there, Moana also in the red and black. That's Svitsov in the black and blue of Team Sky. The light blue and white with the black shorts there is David de la Cruz, the Catalan rider from Etixx Quickstep, the Belgian team. And Francesco Manuel Bongiorno wearing 31 there, the green and white of Bardiani. And Bardiani who still want their win at this Giro d'Italia. Remember, 3 wins last year at the Giro. Bongiorno will be thinking of going for it today. This is Peter Veining at the back. A couple of times a stage winner on the Giro. And of course his win last year got him a new contract as well. Busato's the man in the white and grey for Southeast. Haven't really come close to winning a stage Southeast at this Giro d'Italia. Orica Greenedge had that wonderful first week, of course, with the team time trial, the victory of Michael Matthews, the pink jerseys for half of the team, it seemed at times. 40 k's to go then for the breakaway. Still a lot of climbing to be done here, though. 8 minutes and 49 back to Contador. Contador, who has, well, 1 minute and 15 seconds on Mikel Landa. Movistar getting another rider in here. It is Giovanni Visconti this time on the right-hand side who's made it across to this group. So more force and more power, pardon me, for Andrea Amador. And of course they already had their problems. It looks to me that Juanjo Lobato will have climbed off that bike. He had a very, very nasty crash a little further back. Leopold Koenig fans are there. And Alberto Contador a little further up the road. It's a long look down to everybody else. This is Mikel Landa. Reaches Edoardo Sardini, who's the rider in front of him. Franco Pellizotti up there as well. Landa doing his best to get every little bit of an advantage where the cars are in front. Plenty of Czech fans who through this Giro d'Italia yet to be rewarded. Doing their best to show for Leopold Koenig, proving himself in the last 3 years to be an excellent general classification rider. Contador at 8:35 from the breakaway. Looks behind, has a Cannondale rider coming across. Rider Heijsdal again, who's escaped the gaze of the cameras. We'll soon see from his easy to spot style. 2:07 there is Mick Rogers on the right hand side. Of course, we've already seen Bongiorno and talked about 10 minutes or so ago that incident with him on Monte Zoncolan last year with Bongiorno. Sardini looks to be going well here. This is De La Cruz. Climbing group whittled down again, this time just to 4 riders now. De La Cruz, Bongiorno, Moinard and Svitsov. Inside 40 k's. The hardest section of this climb was right at the start, 13%, but it does get very, very close to those numbers again. Belkov chasing in the meantime. Of course, you were reminding me before we came on air today, Sean, that when Belkov won in Florence, it was the day that Carlos Betancourt came afterwards, arms above, thought he'd won.
Yes, that's right. Belkov was out in the breakaway, of course, and yes, the rest of the breakaway were swallowed up by the peloton, and Betancourt thought he got a stage victory, but unfortunately there's a man out front. We've seen that on many times, and we can see here the difference between Contador and Belkov, although it's hard to compare because on different parts of the climb, depending on the gradient. But you know, Contador, the way he's dancing up here, where Belkov is struggling, and we've seen Belkov in the earlier part. He's in difficulty very, very early on this climb, not in the best of shape, because he should be capable of hanging into this front end of the breakaway, the 5 riders we have up front. But we can see 8.5 minutes for Contador at the moment. He's not closing down majorly on the front of the breakaway out front, but Again, he is causing difficulty for Landa and the rest of the general classification men. It's going to make it another hard day here because now everybody has to fight for their positions in the general.
Contador has to back this up on the descent though, doesn't he? This is sort of an exhibition he's putting on. Of course, with this gap, not realistically looking at him getting anywhere near to taking the stage. However, if he backs it up on the descent with some very, very good descending, those behind can't compete. He's looking at being even more in pink, if you like, with an even bigger advantage at the end of the day.
Well, if he continues on, I'm not sure if he will, continue his effort. Maybe it's just to make the Astana riders and Mikel Landa suffer a bit and make them ride here, because it is going to be a very, very energy-sapping ride for him on your own there. Okay, on the climb, it's not a problem for him, and on the climb anyway, you can ride drafting, sitting on a rider, having a rider to pace for you out in front. It doesn't mean a lot, it doesn't help a lot, but after the climb there's a lot of difficult terrain, and that's where it's going to be real difficult for Contador, because there's nobody in between except for the guys in the breakaway, but they're not going to ride with him, because when he catches up with them, the ones who are dropped early, they're not going to be able to ride anyway.
Mikel Landa's riding really well here. He's actually climbing quicker than anybody else. He's just made that group with Aru in it. So he's with the guys who he needs to worry about for his own position in second place. There's Ryder Hajsdal in front of that group. Ahead of him is Alberto Contador. And this is the group that's being led at the minute by the Movistar team. Amador in second wheel there. 73 is Kenny Elizondo, who had another fine yesterday. A lot of fines. I think there was a bit of argy-bargy between Sky and Française des Jeux. A few riders fined for insults yesterday. So Contador with around a minute of a gap on the Mikel Landa and Fabio Aru group. Contador on the bottom left of your screen, the pink, the race leader. Aru on the bottom right hand side. Top left is the race lead. Top right are the guys trying to chase them down. They've already been dropped on the climb. Chavanel. Svitsov and Bongiorno at the minute though looking the strongest. You can just see how high that gradient is as well. He's in the lower of the gears. Almost on the last sprocket there. 1 hour in the black and red. Narrow, twisty roads. Remember the first time that the Giro has gone up Montelogno. Will it be a day of glory for one of these guys up the road? We thought before today that it was going to be very probable that anybody who wanted to win the Giro would be thinking of the next 2 days, but given what's happening on the road behind, there's a bit of softening up going on, isn't there, by Alberto Contador of everybody else before we get to the big mountains?
Well, there is a big softening up, and we can see here, it's all happening between the general classification, and Contador still, and a big advantage, but again, with the distance from the top of this climb to the finish, I'm asking myself, will he continue? Will he really persist in his effort here? And we have quite a big group here, and after the climb itself, we have the descent, but then it does, it kicks up on a number of occasions, and that's where it's going to be difficult for. If you're on your own against a group here of 12 or 14 riders, there are going to be some of the riders here, general classification, they're going to start, pushing on, and I'd not be surprised if we see Contador knocking up his effort a bit further on this climb.
Well, he has a good gap of over a minute here. Tinkoff cars in behind him. By the way, he had a visit today at the start from Bjarne Riis, his former manager, until very recently his manager, sacked by Oleg Tinkoff just weeks before the Giro d'Italia. Bjarne Riis visiting the Giro today in the hospitality area before, and he was photographed giving Alberto a big handshake and a hug. Stig Brooks has retired, the man we saw down there a little earlier on for Lotto Soudal. Leopold Koenig now putting a bit of pressure on the front of this group. Fabio Aru losing the wheels already behind. Mikel Landa once again showing he's the stronger of the Astana riders. And just getting confirmation too that Juanjo Lobato also has climbed off this Giro d'Italia. They joined Damiano Cunego, who was in the break earlier on today, but was taken down by a motorcycle alongside Roberto Ferrari. We think Ferrari's still in the race, but Jérôme Pinault climbing off very early on in the day as well. Elizondo wants to carry on and push on here. 71 is Alexandre Geniez. 40 k's to go, one of the flatter sections of this very, very steep climb. It's stunning around here. There's some great views. A minute now for Contador. Still looks like he's pressing on though.
Well, he is certainly pressing on here. We can see, you know, on a little bit of an easier section, he is pushing on and giving it, you know, a lot of effort here. And for the moment, he is trying. And I still ask myself, you know, is he going to continue on this effort? It looks like at the moment he's certainly going about it and giving it almost everything.
Well, the one thing we can certainly say about Contador so far in this race is he's been fantastic. All the problems have bounced off him. He's almost invincible at times when he has these problems. He's great at overcoming adversity, pardon me. But he hasn't been on the top form. He hasn't won a stage yet. Maybe he's just finding that form now. All goes well for the next couple of days, unless it backfires. What a stage of the Giro d'Italia, yet again. Stage 18, it was all going along nice and calmly. Breakaway with 12 minutes in advantage. A couple of crashes, a bit of people putting pressure on at the front. Astana distanced, and bang, El Pistolero shooting away. And Alberto Contador attacking, well, because he can. Contador at the minute, though, looks like he's losing a bit of ground. 7:55 behind a four-man lead group. Bongiorno, De La Cruz, Moana and Svetsov. They're very, very close to the top here at 500 metres. Sean, it looks like the Mikel Landa group is making good time up on Contador here, and it didn't look like Contador had eased off. He was really going for it. Could this be about to backfire for Alberto Contador? And to you, does it still make sense? Although it is wonderful to see the pink jersey attacking like this.
Yes, well, it's spectacular stuff here again, and we can see Contador. He looks like he's just, you know, riding away and giving it a big effort here.
Oh, it looks like he's had a bit of a mechanical. He's had a mechanical here as Contador, and he needs some assistance. Alberto Contador immediately requiring some assistance. Looked as though he dropped his chain. Oh, bit of drama after bit of drama at this Giro d'Italia. Good, quick thinking mechanic there.
Yes.
But, well, we've had everything.
Yes, the mechanic, good job there. He was out of the car rapidly and just got, you know, to Contador and got him moving again. But we can see that group of Landa, you know, there's a lot of riders here wanting to push on, and that's going to be the problem for Contador. He's in no man's land here. The breakaway, you know, a long ways out in front, as we can see, over 7:40 at the moment to the leading part of the breakaway. And in that group of chasers of the general classification, man, there's a few teams. Movistar, of course, are the ones who are pushing on at the moment, and doesn't look like he is pulling out, although he seems to be giving quite a big effort all the time.
Well, we're coming up to the top of the climb. Bongiorno in prime position as it stands to take the maximum points for the blue jersey. Kruijswijk, who has the blue jersey on his back, is well down. Beñat and Chalsti is just 1 point behind him, nowhere to be seen in the climb at the minute. We have not seen him on our television screens as Svitsov comes to the front. Bongiorno looks like he wants to come around and take these points, though. Svitsov, I don't think he's going to bother too much. Bongiorno makes sure he takes the points. They're at the top of the climb, and now, Sean, we've got a long, long descent into the final flat 5Ks.
Yes, well, it does go downhill for a moment here, but then it goes, it kicks back up again. So, you know, it's not all downhill to the finish from here, certainly, but the difficult part is over, and the advantage again for the breakaway, the leaders we have here, it's a huge advantage over 7.5 minutes. So, you know, some of those guys will have to make it, as we can see the Contador chain drop again. Contador himself, you know, reacting very quickly, got the chain back on, just lifted it back on himself, and the mechanic just arrives at the right time to give him a good push to get moving again.
Good teamwork. Chasing group is around 45 to 50 seconds behind. We'll get a proper check here. Call it 51 seconds. Philippe Gilbert over the top. Over the course of 30 kilometres, the first part of this descent is really, really technical. Now, Sean, if you're a good descender, how much time can you make up here?
Well, I think 50 seconds is possible, depending out front. If they really, you know, push on out front, well, then it could be a problem, because 35.6 kilometres from the top, and it does go down for a bit, but then again it just kicks back up again a number of times, and that's where it's going to be difficult for the group of Philippe Gilbert, because they've already, you know, made a big effort to try and hang in there. So if they get organised out front, the leading part of the breakaway, they should be able to continue on and contest for the stage victory.
Fabio Aru dropped by Mikel Landa's group, by the way. Zardini dropped as well. Van den Broek in this group too dropped. Kanga is the man that stayed back to help Fabio Aru at the minute. He's in the white jersey. Aru is riding for his third place on the podium here because ahead of him in the group that has gone on with Mikel Landa, his teammate, is Andrea Amador of Movistar. This is the descent again, very narrow, very tight, lots of hairpins and extremely technical, at least for the first 5 kilometers or so. Got little bits of climbing to do on the end, almost like a trampoline that remains towards the end as well, which is in fact the Croce Sera climb. Not categorised. Now this is the Mikel Landa group. Aru making his way on well though. You can just see Kanga doing a great job to pace him back. There's Basque Ikurriña, the flags on the side of the road. Landa right at the back of this group, and Visconti doing a stellar job here for Andrea Amador. In the meantime, Alberto Contador, we are told, is 2 kilometres from the top of this climb. Well, it looks as though his time gap has recovered to a minute. Down to 30 seconds according to the GPS not so long ago. Then he had the mechanical incident. Contador finding a second wind on this climb. I mean, whatever you think of the tactics, whether right or wrong, this is what this Giro d'Italia really wants as well. I mean, to complete the set of everything we've had happening, the pink jersey out on his own, attacking, riding alone, and flying in the mountains. It sounds as though, from race radio, we're being told by producers over at headquarters in Paris, that Ryder Hejsdal is about to join Alberto Contador, so he's about to have company.
Yes, and it will be needed to have some company, and as we've seen in this Giro, Ryder Hejsdal, he's riding extremely well, and not prepared to go out there and ride from a long ways out, and he is fighting for the general classification as well. He's in 10th place at the moment, so he is trying to move up that classification, and if he can make it with Contador, then the two of them going on together. But we can see the advantage there around the minute and a half. It was changing a lot in the earlier part of the climb, so I'm not sure if our time gaps were exactly right, but still it looks like it's a minute at the moment, and we can see that group of Landa, they're starting to start to suffer a bit, and it looks like they're slowing a bit, but yeah, Contador now with Hejsdal coming up to him, that's going to change the situation. I think they will continue on in that case, and Hejsdal, I would see him certainly wanting to ride on.
Just a quick question, Sean. What's happening in Astana here? Because we saw Landa stronger than Aru again, but instead of staying to try and help Landa push on, we saw Tanel Kanga dropping back to Aru. Does that tell you about something that's happened in the meantime? It looks as though we've had something happen to one of the Movistar riders here. Bike change. Well, no more to see that, but in Astana, Kanga going back to help Aru, is that the right decision, or should he have stayed with Mikel Landa to try and press on there and catch this man?
Well, I think for the moment, they have to look after Aru also. He's there in the general classification. I think to keep a man with him, it would be very important. He is suffered, and if you just leave him there on his own, of course, then the morale will take a shock, and they still have men out front here, so they have the manpower. That has always been the case in this Giro. Astana, they still have a number of riders very much in the front of this race.
Contador on the left, 7:32 away from the breakaway. This isn't about the stage, this particular image. This is about the general classification, and it's just a prelude to the 2 days that we've got coming up. Much harder days, a mammoth 230-odd kilometre stage tomorrow that ends up in the ski resort of Cervinia. The day after that, of course, we're talking the big day, Colle Finestre, those gravel roads, and then the final climb to Sestria. All the memories of Paolo Salvodelli, and even more recently, Kirienka's win there as well. There is Hejsdal on the left-hand side, just about to reach Contador. Landa still a minute away in the main group behind him. Bongiorno, De La Cruz, Moinard and Svitsov on their way down, but there's little lips, little climbs, little trampolines on which to launch attacks all the way down. There's 3 or 4 of them, in fact. This is the group that's chasing them. They look tired here.
Yes. It's not surprising because they have made a big effort, and we see in the very beginning of this climb they were in difficulty. Chavanel, Gilbert, Nocentini was a little bit better, but you know, they have made the effort, and they're still hoping that if they get over this little bit of a ramp here, and we can see here, you know, where the leaders are, it kicks up a bit, and it kicks up nicely, and it's a real leg breaker, as we can see. Heyerdahl is about to make it across to Alberto Contador.
This is a wonderfully strong ride again from Alberto Contador in pink. Ryder Heyerdahl, well, I think it's a battle between him and Steven Kruijswijk for the most animated and most aggressive rider in this Giro, isn't it?
Yes, and we've seen just some time further down the climb here, Kruijswijk looked to be in a bit of difficulty. We could see he was a number of bike lengths off that group of the other favourites. So will he be able to hang on in here and stay with this group? Is he here?
There
Yes.
he is, right at the back. Blue jersey on the right-hand side. He's alongside Leopold Koenig. Koenig, who started the day in 6th place at 9:31. And just confirming what we've seen from him both at the Vuelta, the Tour in the last few years, that he's a very, very solid stage racer. Contador very close to the top then. Looking behind, going to wait for Heyerdahl. And he's going to have some companionship on the way down. These two will be able to help each other here. 7:43 behind the break. And very, very soon we'll be able to get a time check, a proper time check, to Mikel Landa. Second on general classification at the start of the day. Landa at 4 minutes and 2 from Alberto Contador. He said before the stage that without any strange incidents it will be impossible to take back 4 minutes on Alberto Contador, but I will try. An attack in the meantime from the breakaway. And it looks like Svitsov is getting left behind. Buongiorno, who takes Moinard and De La Cruz with him.
Yes, and Svitsov, of course, you know, he wouldn't be that explosive, but he's a big power rider, and I think where we are on the stage today, he should be able to, you know, just get back in there. He's got all the most difficult part, but when they're attacking each other, they can afford to do it as well. With over 7 minutes 40 and an advantage, they're going to start doing it early, and you know, they are starting to think already about the stage victory. And if you look at the breakaway, who's out front, and of course if you can see there that in the sprint, well, there's riders here who are much faster. Now is the moment to try and do something.
Alberto Contador has over a minute's advantage on Mikel Landa. So he's managed to keep that attack up. It wasn't the Eddie Merckx style ride of yesteryear that we saw, we thought could be on the cards at the start of the climb. Long, big gap. We would have had 10 minutes to close on the climb. That really would have been one to go down in the history books. 31.6 kilometres to go. This is the lead of the race, and Svitsov, as Sean suggested would be, is back. We're off for a quick commercial break. We'll keep it here on Eurosport. So much to happen. It's all happening yet again at the Giro d'Italia. A lot of time to play with for the guys out front. This is the second group on the road. Chavanel, Nocentini and Gilbert. Ahead up the road though, De La Cruz, Buongiorno, Moinard, and with them is, of course, Konstant Svitsov. Third group on the road, this, Contador and Heyerdahl. 7 minutes and 30 behind. Not really thinking of the stage, but Contador's case thinking of putting Astana to the sword and getting revenge for that attack the other day. For Heyerdahl, it's all about climbing as high into the top 10 as possible. And again for Ryder Heyerdahl, Sean, you've got to think what might have been if he hadn't had such a bad start.
Yes, I think he had a bad start, and but he's recovering all the time, and it's nice to finish in a strong way when you're feeling good. The final week, going into the final week, and you're moving up in general classification. Much better if you're starting to slip, because then you start losing the morale also.
Well, that's what revenge looks like in numbers for the British viewers just rejoining us. 5 minutes and 34 on the road now from Alberto Contador to Mikel Landa. Fabio Aru remaining in third, but only because he's in the same group there as Andrea Amador, who's very, very close to him. A few conversations going on, already a few turns missed, 30 kilometres out. We've got a bit of descending to come after this. A long old descent, mostly for 30 kilometres. Little bits of rises along the way. Very, very technical road as well. The second part of the descent is a lot easier. Final 5 kilometers of flat. For the first 1.5 Ks of that, we're talking roundabouts, the odd bit of problem. Final 3.5 Ks without any issue. Good ride this from Busato on the descent to catch Nocentini, Gilbert, pardon me. And the rest, Chavanel in there. Ajdal and Contador. Interesting to see how the group behind are going to go, Sean, here. The likes of Landa and Aru looking to just watch everybody else and protect the podium places, or are they still thinking of closing this gap to Contador if they can, about 1 minute and 20 seconds?
Well, I think they will, keep a control of the situation. It's not going to be a major panic because Landa, 4 minutes or 5 minutes behind Contador, it's not going to change a lot, so he's not going to risk too much and risk his place in second overall. We can see there's other riders who really want to ride. Amador, for example, he wants to push on because he feels that he can push some of the guys under pressure. And they're trying to do it, but unfortunately it isn't working out for them. It's all happening out here, and we can see the breakaway, the front riders from the breakaway. But Gilbert, we're seeing him there. He's in a group as well. How far they are off? We're not getting time checks there. With the riders out front, they're not working well together. We could see that group of Gilbert getting back into the front end and it becoming a very big group again, as we can see here. Ajdal, he is riding on the front, but Contador doesn't look like he is contributing as much for the moment.
No, we saw a couple of little looks around. Ajdal asking a question a couple of times as well. There's certainly no communication problem. We know that Ajdal and Contador can communicate. Contador speaks very, very good English. 40.3 kilometers per hour, the average race speed today. Most of the first start and the first part of this course was flat. Mikel Landa, Fabio Aru and Tanel Kanga. Franco Pellizotti in front of them. Damiano Caruso's in this group as well, and I know that before today Caruso had targeted this stage as one that he said he'd like to win. That's not going to happen now. The stage win will come from one of the riders at the front, no doubt about that. Again, these two. Again, Ajdal all the way at the front. The young Catalan rider on the right-hand side, David de la Cruz. Francesco Manuel Bongiorno, trying to make it a Bongiorno, as you were suggesting, Sean, in the break. 198 there is Fitzov at the back, the Belarusian, former national champion. And 48 is Amel Moinard, the Frenchman, who wasn't due to ride the Giro d'Italia until the day before. Got a very, very late call-up. Nocentini, Chavanel, Gilbert and Busato. Again, we're just waiting on time checks to these guys. So Villela dropping back to help these two. Villela, remember, was in the original break. Shows Sean why it's always useful to have someone in a break on a day like this.
Yes, I'm not sure if he actually dropped back. I think he was dropped at the
he was dropped early on, wasn't he? Yes, but I'm sure he must have got the call.
Yes, well, I think he got the call late on the climb, and he's probably taking it a bit easier. He's been told that Ajdal is coming up, so he has had a rest period, let's call it. And if he can rest for 2 kilometers on the climb, eat a bit, recover, you can build your energy again and be ready. And it'll be interesting now to see how long he can ride for, because we're getting to the part of the route here where they're getting to the very top, and it's going to be a lot of downhill, and it can be important if you have a teammate with you. But the Gilbert group, it will be interesting to see where they are at the moment, because that will be an interesting one. Up front we can see how our four are still working well together, and Bongiorno is the one, he seems the one who wants to push on a lot, but again, will we have four to go to the finish, or will we be joined by a number of other riders of the breakaway?
7 minutes and 3 seconds the gap from 4 leaders to this group of 3. In between, at 48 seconds from the 4 leaders, you have another part of the original 12-man breakaway. That's the Gilbert group. And at 8 minutes and 35, so 1.5 minutes from Alberto Contador, is the second place rider wearing 24 there, Mikel Landa, alongside Fabio Aru and a whole host of other favourites. We're talking the top riders in the general classification. Most of the top 10 are there. On the left-hand side, you've got the team Movistar doing all the pushing on. They're trying to work for Andre Amador. Strong descender, Amador. Blue jersey of Stefan Kruijswijk looking good again. Struggling a little early on the climb. He's left a lot of effort on the road in this Giro d'Italia. Same can be said of Ryder Hajsdal, the former winner. Well, we're being told that these four leaders now have a gap of less than 30 seconds back to the guys who are chasing on. Sean, if that rate of catch continues, it's soon going to become 8 men at the front.
It's looking like that, and it depends now on the descent. We have the point of the parcours here where it really starts going down. 26.3, it goes down for a long time, and the riders who are prepared to take a risk, and if the front riders, you know, not pushing on big time out front, well, then we could see that group of Gilbert, Chavanel, Nocentini and Bussato joining up, and we're getting that 30 seconds that can be closed very quickly if they really push on. And of course BMC, they have the advantage here. They have, you know, the men out front, and now they have Gilbert, who's in the chasing group, so they might use that as well. Monard might, you know, be saying, well, I have Gilbert who's coming up, I can't ride, I can't push on as much as I would like to.
Davide Villela, who was in the original breakaway, is giving Alberto Contador a bit of a good ride here, and they're gaining time on the group from Mikel Landa. We've said it for the last couple of days that Contador's got advantage, but is the Giro overall being definitely finished here?
Well, I think when you look at the overall classification going into today's stage, and look at the way Contador's been riding, the exhibitions he's put on the real difficult stages, very difficult to see anybody challenge him. But again, you know, he's going out here now and trying to, you know, extend his lead. I was surprised to see him do that on this climb, and he's continuing here. And of course now he's getting a free ride here with the two Cannondale Garmin riders, and we can see Hajsdal is looking around a lot. He's looking around too much for me, because he has just to continue on now, and Hajsdal is the one who can make up ground, because he is, you know, 10th in the general classification, and when you look at the overall classification, he could move up quite well. So he just have to try and get his teammates right as much as possible and get onto the descent and see what an advantage they can pull out. But Contador looks like he's just going to sit on the tail end of the two Cannondale Garmin riders.
There you go, he's been shoved right into the middle. Villela going to the back to try and force him to come through and take a turn. That wasn't happening. Hajsdal doesn't need to worry about Contador here, because yes, Hajsdal's a former winner of this race, but he's 13 minutes and 1 second down in 10th place. He's just got to worry about all his other rivals for the top 10, hasn't he?
Well, I think Hajsdal is in the driving seat, because you know, he's out in front of, you know, Genet, Kruijswijk, Caruso, all of those riders, and they're not that far ahead. And if he can pull a minute and a half or 2 minutes out of them, well, then it would be a good job today, and he would certainly move up from that place of 10th in the general classification. He could leapfrog 2-3 places, and Contador, you know, he has no reason to ride here at the moment, so they have just to, you know, forget about Contador there and continue and push on as much as possible.
Yeah, if I were Ryder Hajsdal, I'd be happily dishing out the favour right now, because he never knows when he's going to need one back. Contador does not need to ride at all. 6 minutes and 44 they are behind, and they're very, very close now to making their advantage 2 minutes on the white jersey group of Fabio Aru and the man with them, of course, Mikel Landa. Not a great place for the motorbike to stop there, by the way. 6 minutes and 41. This is the chasing group of Gilbert, Nocentini. Bussato was there as well. And they're very, very close, we're told, to bridging the gap now. This is all about the stage win, the image we're seeing on the screen right now. And the difference between the two general classification groups now. Contador on the left, ahead on the road, almost 2 minutes ahead. Well, that says 1:33, and that's certainly at odds with the time gaps we have on the top left-hand side of our screen. Not sure which one we'll believe for now. All adds to the excitement anyway. Hastanard now taken up driving that. Still Davide Villela, the Italian rider for Cannondale Garmin, doing the work for Heidal, his teammate, and Contador, who's just sat on the back getting a ride, having a little bit of a recovery. Contador's exhibition we've already seen yet again on the climb. Remember, 2 huge mountain stages to come here on Eurosport. Oh, Peter Sagan on the side of the road there. It's a good replica kit if you could ever get one. Not sure what drink he was giving it, but he certainly didn't like the taste of it straight away. He threw it away. Peter Sagan's replica Slovakian national champions kit that supporter had on. 22.4 Ks remain. Remember, descent barring the odd little lip and trampoline on which to launch an attack, as Bongiorno does now. Francesco Manuel Bongiorno having a go on one of the little uphills. He's followed very quickly by Emmanuel Ouinard, and Ouinard's going to follow through straight away. So they're already attacking each other, 21.5 kilometres out. If you think about it all, Sean, somebody like Bongiorno, very, very difficult for him on the flat against the guys he's with. He has to give it a go.
Yes, well, you can see Bongiorno is, the smaller rider, the lightweight rider, and it's not surprising any opportunity he gets here to try and go in the attack. And we're getting closer and closer to the finish. 21 kilometres from the that point on. It's a lot of downhill, of course. The last number of kilometres are pretty flat, the 5 kilometres from the finish, but they have that advantage out front, and they can't afford to start attacking each other. But again, that group of Gilbert, when they start doing that, they are going to be eating to that advantage of our leaders on the road. And if we're around the 30 seconds for Gilbert, we could see some of them riders joining up to make it a bigger group out front.
Well, if you're joining us late today, as Davide Villela is dropped and Contador goes to the front, we had a group of 12 attacking. They had a gap of 12 minutes at times. We got to the climb, that gap at around 11 minutes, and suddenly behind, a couple of crashes. Astana caught out behind one of those, and Alberto Contador decided to attack on the climb, and he's going away even from the guys he's been riding from. Heidal and Villela with him, and Contador gaining time on Mikel Landa and sewing up this Giro d'Italia on the road right now. Fabio Aru, Mikel Landa and the rest on the descent as well. Nice dry roads today, thankfully. Beautiful day heading towards Lake Maggiore. Huge Italian lake in this region. Heads over into Switzerland as well, where we started today. On the other side of the shores, of course, we're heading to Verbania here. If you go take the ferry all the way across to Switzerland, you'll end up in Locarno or Ascona. Where we had the start of the Tour de Romandie the other year. Contador. This is Villela at the back, sandwiching them. We have the 2012 winner rider Heidal, Canadian rider from Cannondale Garmin. Contador, the Spaniard, the leader of this Giro d'Italia, in pink, and almost 2 minutes ahead on the road of Mikel Landa and Fabio Aru. This is that group of Landa and Aru. All the rest of the top 5, top 10. Notable absentee again, you have to say, Sean Kelly. No Rigoberto Urán.
No, he's just getting into more and more difficulty as the race go on, and he's certainly not recovering. He seems to be just getting weaker as the race go on.
That's a shame. Certainly, when it gets to a class rider like that, you almost want them to say, OK, we've had enough. Let's go and get fit again, rest it up, and we'll see them later in the season performing some heroics. .21 or 20 Ks to go. Look at this, 2 groups about to come together. All that playing about in the front, and they're going to have company. It's going to be a group of 8 very soon. And 5 minutes 46 in front of Contador. Inside 20 k's to go. The two front groups then coming together. 5 minutes 29 to the pink jersey, 7:55 to Mikel Landa's group here. On the descent, 5 flat kilometers towards the end when we get there. This is Svitsov, De La Cruz, the latest to have a little go on the attack. But these are the riders coming across from behind, and suddenly, Sean, BMC have numerical superiority.
Yes, and we could see the BMC rider out front, Amel Moinard. You know, he was just controlling, and Gilbert immediately puts in an attack here, and they have the advantage, BMC. And is there somebody going to be react, because now it's going to kick up for a little while, but it does start to go down a lot from here with just over 19 kilometers to go.
So BMC can afford to play it differently now. Gilbert going straight through and going on the attack. 1 hour waits with this group. De La Cruz is there, Bongiorno, and at the back here in the black and blue you have Svitsov of Sky. This was Gilbert's attack. There we go again. I knew we were going to get it sometime. Good work from BMC. And that's exactly the advantage we were just talking about. If you've got two, you can play with everybody else. Svitsov just wheels to one side. And again, Sean, guys in the breakaway who swing around, look at each other here. Yes, I know it's a long way out, but they can quite easily throw away a lot of hard work.
Yes, well, we've seen it all before, and we can see Bongiorno really pushing on again, and he's been the one who was very active. The other riders were in that group with him, which was 4 leading for quite a while. I don't think they were prepared to work as much, and Moinard was the one who was, he was controlling out front, and now Gilbert out in front with just over 18 kilometers to go. You can't just concentrate, give you everything, and as well that the downhill is coming up, and there's a lot of downhill, and that's where if Gilbert can pull out 15-20 second advantage and go on to the main descent, well then it will be difficult to see him being pulled back.
Philippe Gilbert leading this stage 18 of the Giro. He has the experience. Does he have the legs? We'll find out after this. Inside the last 16.5 kilometres of this stage 8 of the Giro d'Italia. 5 minutes and 47 from the leader of the race, Philippe Gilbert, all the way back to the pink jersey. But there's another group on the road behind, several groups on the road in between. It's all a very complex situation. Gilbert has attacked his breakaway companions. Very, very clever move from BMC. Amel Moinard making it possible by slowing up the group before. Gilbert attacking as soon as they made the bridge to the gap. And Gilbert now has a very, very handy advantage. "25 seconds at the last count. 22 the latest. Bongiorno in hot pursuit. Of course, the man at the back there in the red and black is not going to do the chasing. 1 hour to chase down his own man. Good move from Philippe Gilbert then, Sean.
Well, timing real good, and he made a big effort to limit his losses on the climb. You could see that when they went on to the climb of just over 10 kilometers, he got into the climb, settled it. He didn't really follow the attacks in the beginning, but got into his rhythm. And when you're not a real climber, that's the way you've got to do it. And they just managed to get back, and just the perfect time to go in the attack.
Philippe Gilbert all out there on his own. 22 seconds of an advantage. He's taking every corner as tight as he can. He really is peddling the descent as well. He wants this stage victory. It would be his second on this particular Giro d'Italia, his third in his Giro history. This is the group chasing behind, and in the meantime we also have general classification and changes afoot in it. Alberto Contador on a ride with two Cannondale riders. One is Davide Villela doing all the work at the front, and of course Ryder Hajjdal aiming to cement his place in the top 10. He could gain as much as 2 minutes here on guys fighting with him for those spots in the top 10. On the right hand side, Astana seeming fairly content to try and make sure they watch all their rivals for those second and third positions. Sean, I think they know that it's pretty unrealistic to catch Contador now.
Yes, well, the way it's looking at the moment, it looks like Contador is going to pull more time out in the pink jersey classification, and Astana are just, you know, wanting to set the pace here. Huisdal is the one who is going to move up in the general classification, because he is, you know, making inroads to the guys ahead of him, Genet, Kreisweg, and it will be interesting to see what they can hold on to, because Astana, you know, are going to continue on riding in the final number of kilometres. Depending on what Astana will do, if they really push on, well, then the advantage for Contador Huisdal will probably drop down.
Huisdal, who started the day in 10th place, if he does get in these 2 minutes, as it stands right now, he would move up into 8th position ahead of Steven Kruijswijk. No time to read the welcome to the local town banner there for Philippe Gilbert. Chases on for Sylvain Chavanel. Man alongside him is from Southeast, it's Matteo Busato. Because we've seen a lot of, as usual, these professional continental teams, Bardiani, Southeast, Androni getting in the breakaway, but with Bardiani doing so well and taking 3 stage wins last year, we haven't seen the teams pushing on and getting those stage wins this year, though, from that level.
No, and we could see there today Bardiani with Buongiorno. They really, you know, made the effort. He was trying to keep the group up front when we had 4 riders out of the breakaway. He wanted to push on, but again, there was, you know, other tactics, and other teams were different plan, different tactic, and unfortunately it didn't work out for them. And you know, we've seen with BMC, the moment they got back Gilbert, he put in the attack, and it looks like now that doesn't seem to seem that anybody will challenge him for the stage victory, because he's a real good ascender. He's ascending quite strong, and when you're out there in front on your own, you can just give it, you know, 100%. The little uphills on the downhill, you can just concentrate. Where back in that group with Buongiorno, they're attacking each other, they make an effort, then they knock it off, and that's where you lose time.
Talking about the professional continental teams, just 1 win between them. It was Bardiani, pardon me, and Nicola Bohem from that awful sprinters team's mistake from Civitanova Marche to Forlì. First day of the second week, Bohem taking the win there, just ahead of Busato, who is in the group and changing again. Malaguti was with them on that day as well. Philippe Gilbert, Sean, you said taking the risks. In more ways than one there. Attack then, out of the group, chasing behind. Belkov. 1 hour was there. 1:72, Maxim Belkov, who was in the original breakaway. In fact, that's Trofimov, pardon me, Trofimov in the GC group. Trofimov trying to gain time and places. Remember, Trofimov 5th on general classification, 8:27 down, but of course he's thinking of Andrea Amador, Fabio Aru and Mikel Landa. Second spot, realistically, anything up to second is still up for grabs, isn't it?
It is up for grabs. If you look at the time gaps from, you know, Aru down to Amador, for example, you know, 4:52, 5:48, nothing in there when you consider. But when you look at Trofimov, you know, going into the attack here with Astana riding on the front, and Astana are just securing a good pace here. I don't know what he's trying to do, because he's not going to gain anything here, and you have to wait for the days to come, and if there's an opportunity, you know, to do it on the big mountain stage is okay, but it ain't going to happen here.
Caruso was with him having a little go as well. Looks like BMC are going to be happy with what could well be their second stage win of this Giro d'Italia. Wait to see the new time gap from Gilbert of the Chasers as soon as we have it. We saw Svitsov just come off the front of this group a minute ago, but he's been caught. There is that gap, 34 seconds with 9.2 kilometres to go. If these guys have to have any hope, Sean, they've got to stop attacking each other and work together on that final flat 5 kilometres.
Well, it doesn't happen when you're in a breakaway and a rider goes out in front. Then there's always a problem, who's going to do the chasing, because if you start chasing and giving it 100%, then you're the one who is going to lose in the final sprint. And when you see the advantage grown outside 30 seconds, I don't think it will happen here, because they're just marking each other, making an effort, and then, you know, knocking it off, slowing down, and it's just going to go all the way to the finish like that. And it looks like Gilbert is going to go on and get his second stage victory.
As Gilbert didn't have a win in 2015 until last week. Of course, he was winless in the classics. Didn't race in the cobbles this year, not so much anyway. He raced in the hills as usual. A couple of podium places. Helped his teammate to a fantastic win at Brabantse-Pijl. Ben Hermans on that day taking the win from the breakaway when Gilbert was busy trying to hold everybody off behind from the final sprint. It was such an exciting finale. Good teammate and buying some goodwill for the rest of the classics as Bongiorno decides to have a go. Nice to see. He certainly cannot be faulted for the lack of trying today.
Certainly not. He has to get 10 points for his efforts out there. But again, you know, he's been just chased down by the rest of the breakaway, and it's going to be hard for him to ride away now as we come into that final, because it does level out a bit, and the final number of kilometres are pretty flat. So for him to get away and to close down 30 seconds against the Gilbert, I cannot see it.
A minute and a half at the minute for Contador and Huisdaal. They want gaps for different reasons, of course. Contador to try and make sure that that pink jersey will be on his back whatever happens, even barring the odd incident over the next couple of days. He will think he can secure the Giro d'Italia right here, right now. What a race we've seen. Is this one of the best Giro d'Italia we've seen ever, Sean?
Well, I think when you look at the race on a whole, it's definitely been the best one. We've had some exceptional Giros. 2011, I think, Contador was asked the question yesterday, you know, is this the most difficult Giro? And he said, no, I think 2011 was more difficult. But not surprised to hear that, because he's going to play that and give the impression that it hasn't been difficult for him. It's all, you know, a mind's game, and it's certainly looking like that. And when you see him today, what he's doing here, Contador, I think this year has been spectacular. The flat stages where you would expect to be a bit dull, breakaways allowed away. It just haven't happened in this Giro. Today is the only day where the breakaway was allowed a big advantage. You could say 60 kilometres to the finish, well, it's going to be for the breakaway. But again, it kicks off, and what a climb we've had here. The general classification, men attacking each other, crashes. It just goes on and on.
Contador shaking the pain out the legs. Plenty much more to come over the next couple of days, of course. Cervinia tomorrow, Sestriere on Saturday, and then a final sprint and procession into Milan on Sunday. Have a minute and 20 seconds, the advantage reducing ever so slightly to the guys behind. 1:28 according to this graphic at the bottom. The white jersey on the screen there because Fabio Aru still in charge of that classification, as he will be to Milan. 43 minutes and 29 seconds of an advantage over Formolo in that group as well. This is Philippe Gilbert, who came into this race still suffering the effects of a crash in Flèche-Wallonne. Said he did a lot of work to recover. His goals had kind of changed coming into the Giro. He didn't know if he'd be at his best level. I think in the last 7 days he's certainly proved that he's found it. He's been excellent. Couldn't complete the set of Grand Tour leaders jerseys, which was, I think, his primary aim, to win a stage in the first week, get into pink, because we've seen him in the lead at the Vuelta in the red jersey in 2010. We've seen him in yellow at the Tour de France in 2011. But I think he'd have certainly taken 2 stage wins, wouldn't he?
Certainly. You know, he's finishing off the Giro real well. He did start out and was hoping maybe to get a chance to take the pink jersey, but it didn't happen for him. But yeah, he's finishing very, very strong. To get over the climb today for Gilbert, you know, out of the breakaway, he's done real well, and that tells that he is still recovering quite well and finishing real strong.
Well, 3 Amstel Gold races, a couple of Giri di Lombardia, 5 stages at the Vuelta. He's about to take a 2nd stage this year at the Giro d'Italia. A 58th altogether for Philippe Gilbert. 58th win as a professional for the former world champion, this would be. Leader of the race inside the last 4 kilometres. There's the smile. He knows he's almost done it already. A very, very bit of a premature punch of the air, because, again, Sean, all about the experience. He knows that once you have that difference, that it's almost impossible to catch him.
Yes, well, he'll be quite aware of the advantage he's got, and he knows the chasing group that they're going to be just marking each other, and he can see it out there, the victory. It's just a matter of now, you know, be careful not to get too overexcited and overcook a corner and get to the finish, and for his 2nd stage victory.
32 years of age now, and look at this from behind. Aman Wanal. He's going out on the chase of Rinaldo Nocentini. That's because his teammate is up the road. He obviously doesn't want him to be caught. 3.2k to go. Look at the crowds here. Beautiful sunny day always helps, as Contador is trying to make sure that that advantage is secured, doesn't go to waste. Behind, they're working really well together. We've just seen that. They've chopped 15 seconds off the advantage. 1:15 now, and they're doing okay to limit the damage. Gilbert in the meantime with 3 kilometers to go. And what a Giro he's had. In fact, he's been up in the top 10 on several occasions. He was third in that funny sprint on the very, very crazy Liguria stage on stage 3 to Sestri Levante. A day that was won by Michael Matthews. He was in the top 10 in Imola. He was first the day after on that Monte Berico wall of a climb. Top 20 yesterday, and it looks as though he's going to be top of the tree again today. Pink jersey group we saw a minute ago. This is the white jersey group of Aru and Mikel Landa. But as it stands on the road, Alberto Contador is going to increase his lead in the overall general classification. These guys behind, well, at least for a few kilometers out, settling for a truce to try and reduce the arrears. This is David de la Cruz, also in the breakaway, in the chase. But he's going to be left behind, I'm afraid. Very, very valiant ride from him today. It's been a difficult Giro for Etixx Quick-Step. Gilbert under that Catalan flag there, alongside Lake Maggiore. No time to admire the scenery, though. He's riding away to what looks to be a stage win. Svitsov chasing. Buongiorno is there as well. Philippe Gilbert has left them all in tatters behind. And they still look at each other. Remember the sprint for places. One R's quite happy in the black and red because it's his teammate here, Philippe Gilbert. He loves riding in this part of the world. He's won the Giro di Lombardia on a couple of occasions. He knows exactly how to ride around these hills and these lakes. And he's less than 2 kilometers away now from a stage win. In the meantime, Buongiorno still believes. Goes, attacks the rest. This time, there's nobody to follow him.
And he's attacked so many times. He's been on the climb, very aggressive, and on the descent and the little bit of uphills that we had, he's been attacking all the time. He deserves to get on the podium here, but we can see Gilbert, the advantage, you know, is just big enough to hold on. Will Buongiorno be able to, you know, get the second place, because he's the one, I think, who has been doing a lot of the work, and unfortunately, you know, he was a marked man with the 2 BMC riders. Certainly the moment Gilbert got away, it was always going to be difficult for him.
You feel a little for Chavanel. He's been as aggressive as he could be in this Giro d'Italia so far, but he's on nowhere near his top form as Svitsov goes out the group now. But this is the longest celebration I've seen for a long time. A few looks around at the cameras now. He's celebrated, he's punched the air, we've seen the finger in the air as well. The cheeky smiles to the camera. He's approaching the Flamme Rouge, and the last kilometre, Philippe Gilbert knows he's about to win at the Giro d'Italia for the 2nd time in this year's race, for the 3rd time overall. Remember, he was also a winner of stage 20 back in Anagni, all the way in 2009 when he was a Lotto rider. Here he's riding for BMC Racing. The Belgian rider from Wallonia, the French-speaking region, is about to make sure he's another winner. 700 metres to go for Philippe Gilbert. 4 hours in the saddle, another quick day at the Giro, and another day of wonderful, wonderful racing. Gilbert, who was out in a break of 12 from the start, he managed to limit losses on the climb, used his experience well, and he's about to ride into Verbania as the winner of a stage yet again. And it's going to be the 2nd time in a week he's managed it. The celebrations have gone on for the last 5 kilometres. He's loving it here, lapping up every minute of it. Gilbert around the final corner. Here he comes, a winner of a stage for the 2nd time on this 2015 Giro d'Italia, and he deserves every little hand clap, every bit of adulation he's going to get. The former world champion here again. This time he has time to enjoy it. It's a 3rd Giro win in the career of Philippe Gilbert, a 58th on the road in total, and after 4 hours, Gilbert raises his arms and is victorious in Verbania. Buongiorno in the meantime looking for that 2nd place behind, and he deserves this, as Sean was saying. Francesco Manuel Buongiorno, and he is going to get some applause on the way in. the top Italian rider on the day. He has been brilliant all the way up the climb. Climbed with the very best. He was the top man. Went over, took all the King of the Mountains points. But once Gilbert attacked on the way down, it would have been curtains for him and everybody else. In the meantime, though, Buongiorno to take second place. He'll ride in, but Sean, the day really does belong to Philippe Gilbert.
Well, Gilbert has enjoyed the last number of kilometres. It's not often you get an occasion like that in your career, as you see Buongiorno coming over, 47 seconds down on Gilbert. But Buongiorno, in fairness, he was the one who, was the most aggressive in the breakaway on the climb, but unfortunately there was a lot of riders marking him all the time.
Chavanel sprinting in for third place. Busato and Moinert in the top 5 as well. 5 kilometres to go for the chasing group. Of course, Alberto Contador ahead of them, heading into the final couple of kilometres himself. Contador looking to take as much of an advantage as possible on Landa in second place, Aru in third, and all the rest of the top 10 who are behind. It's going to be a big day for Ryder Hijsdal. He's going to gain more time here on these rivals behind as well. Hijsdal 10th before the day. More changes on general classification, and you're looking at, bar incident or accident, the winner of the Giro d'Italia, Alberto Contador. Just 2 mountain stages to survive. He's extended his lead today.
In association with the Israel Ministry of Tourism.
Well, they're coming across the line 2.5 minutes afterwards. There's Chad Hager, who was dropped very, very early on the climb today. He was part of the breakaway. The winner on the day, Philippe Gilbert.
Hi there, welcome to Giro Extra. We'll be going back to live coverage as the Maglia Rosa and the Landa Aru groups come in. But it's a second stage victory this year in the Giro d'Italia for Philippe Gilbert. In fact, he's just behind us over my right shoulder here. And Juan Antonio, he was in the break all day and then went on his own with 21 kilometers to go. Good ride again.
Great, amazing ride from Gilbert, especially because he was a little bit dropped with Chavanel on the climb. De La Cruz was doing a great job there, going uphill and pacing himself, but then Philippe Gilbert chased them down, and Amel Moinart, his teammate, was there, and Gilbert played that card and going on the attack when nobody was expecting him to go. He actually surprised the other guys of the breakaway, and at the end he did a superb downhill, able to ride very strong on the flat and get that victory.
What was the key to Gilbert's victory today? Was it the way he performed before the climb, or was it the element of surprise that you mentioned?
Well, first of all, being on that breakaway is something not easy at all. We've seen 12 guys up the road, and most of them, they were good riders, and they've been racing a lot in the morning. So that's the first thing. You have to be in that big breakaway where many riders want to go. And then especially I think that he surprised the riders. I mean, he was dropped, so no one, the other Sietsu, Buongiorno and De La Cruz, they didn't know that he was coming. So as soon as he chased them down, he went on the attack. So he didn't even show the other rider that he was there. In Belgium, they say it open it over. That's a tactic. That's what he did. He chased them and immediately went on the attack.
He did indeed. Let's go back now to our live commentary as we see Alberto Contador and the others come over the line.
Thanks, guys. Alberto Contador a little further ahead of these guys. Here he is, 1.4 kilometres to go alongside Ryder Hijsdal. Contador can see the line, working well with Hijsdal here. They've not always contributed to the rest of the race, but Sean, it makes sense here, certainly. Get as much advantage as he can in the last kilometre or so.
Yes, well, I think he's out there in front now, and he's had a comfortable ride with the two Cannondale-Garmin men, and he's just pushing on and, make hay while the sun shines, as they say, and he's certainly done that today. What a stage, and what a performance of Contador, because race leader, you would expect him just to sit back and wait for the days to come, but not at all. The moment he see that there was a problem for Astana, with the problems we've had during this race and Astana going to attack when he had a mechanical problem, he didn't wait a moment. The first opportunity he had on the climb just ups the pace and away he goes, and he's going to really secure his place on the top of the general classification now. And Hojsdal, we can see just working as well. He's the one who is going to hopefully move up, because he deserves to move up. The way he's riding in this race, the way he's ridden again today, he should move up some places overall.
Right, Hojsdal, another really, really courageous ride. Brilliant stuff from him, both he and Kruijswijk, the two most animated riders of this Giro without doubt. But today we've seen the pink jersey, Alberto Contador, on his own, climbing. It was a wonderful spectacle in the mountains, and certainly when we least expected it. Payback, remembrance for the other day. They knew what happened. Contador reminded them who was boss, and he is even more in the pink jersey. Kudos, though, to Ryder Hojsdal, as the rest are a kilometre from the finish. So Miguel Landa, Fabio Aru and the rest have seen any chance of winning this Giro d'Italia boss. Some bizarre incident. Fly out the window today. Contador riding himself into an almost unassailable lead. You can never say never. And here's the great ride from Davide Villela in the meantime. In the breakaway at the start of the day, 6:39 back from the winner, Philippe Gilbert. Well, Belkov's going to come across in this group, as is Tanel Kanga as well. Kenny Elissonde just about held on. Giovanni Visconti's having a great Giro d'Italia. Koenig on the left-hand side too. Geniez in this group. And it's all about Mikel Nieve, as well as Kruijswijk, who tries to limit any damage, get those extra seconds. It's a sprint to the line. Two big days coming up to decide the overall general classification of the Giro d'Italia. But here we've seen gaps already from Alberto Contador and Ryder Hojsdal to Miguel Landa, Steven Kruijswijk, Koenig, Aru, Amador and all the rest. The GC will look different again. Alberto in the meantime off to find some recovery before it's back into the mountains.
Another great ride by Alberto Contador. In fact, he's just behind Juan Antonio over there, back on the rollers again. Juan Antonio, Alberto Contador, there's a big talking point, of course, today. There was a crash with 45 kilometers left. We said those last 45 would be key. Mikel Landa was caught up behind the crash, and Alberto attacked. Your thoughts?
I think Alberto just allowed himself to give himself a gift. I mean, to give himself that pleasure on going on the attack when Landa, his direct rival, was having a mechanical, or not in this case, was more due to the crash. But it was kind of payback. It was just nice to see. I mean, he kind of showed again that here I am. I mean, now I want to see your tactics, and it was a great show from Alberto. Absolutely. I mean, he was looking very happy as he was crossing the finish line and coming back to the turbo trainers.
How much should we make of the fact that Alberto did attack at that moment, given what Mikel Landa did the other day on the Montirolo?
Well, we need to listen to him first, but of course it really seemed something like they took advantage of that situation. On Landa's was a little bit dropped, so they start riding, especially with Tinkoff. The team started riding faster, and Alberto went on the attack by his own, and then with Ryder Hojsdal, who was again doing a great ride today. But especially, I think he just wanted to show that he's a great champion, and if they want to play that way, he's able also to play that way.
That's true. He can play that way. Landa and Aru in a group together. They did make up the time. At one point, it was 2 minutes between Contador and Landa, but they made up a lot of that time by the end. Was that an impressive ride for you from them as well?
Well, it was funny to watch because, it was the breakaway, then Alberto, and then behind, we've seen Movistar with Amador, especially in Chausti and Amador, trying to gain time on Landa. So, and Aru struggling there at the back. So, honestly, I mean, at the end, they made that gap a little bit smaller, but at one point, as you say, they were more than 2 minutes. Aru struggling, so it's the first time that we don't see a Astana team that strong up the hills, on the mountains. This case, for a different situation and adversity was caused by the crash, but that shows that sometimes in the bunch, those unwritten rules comes back, what goes around comes around, and yeah, that's cycling, so there will be more races, and we don't know when this battle will end, but something started for sure.
Yeah, something's definitely started. A quick word on Monte Ologno, the first time in the Giro d'Italia. Tell us about it as a climb. How did it perform as a climb today?
Well, it was we've seen a crash right before, because probably everybody knew that was very narrow, that climb at the beginning, so a lot of stress probably to come the running onto that climb, on the bottom of that climb. And then the climb itself seemed to be very hard, like a pure climb. It's narrow, steep, and yeah, it's got all the ingredients to give a great show to the viewers, of course.
Another great show from this Giro d'Italia, of course, and a great win for Philippe Gilbert. If you didn't hear earlier on, Philippe Gilbert of BMC getting his second stage victory today. And Buongiorno as well, a quick word on Buongiorno. In fact, there is Philippe Gilbert. You've just seen him go past, and in fact, we've just spoken to him. Sorry, that's Amel Morinat.
They look similar, though. They look very
a little bit. They're both good-looking boys. Philippe Gilbert, we can hear from him now.
No, I mean, in a meeting this morning in the bus, we said that the breakaway made a big chance, you know, and then I knew that it was possible for me to not be so far on the big climb of the day, you know, so they went full gas from the bottom, you know, like this guy from Quick Step, and then I was just looking the SRM and not going in the red, you know, so always on my pace. And then Chavanel came back, and then he was like pushing, and he knew also that I had no reason to help him, you know, because I had a teammate Monar in front. So I stayed in the wheel, then we came back, and then they went again on the steep part. And then we had Nocentini, which was good also for me. And then I just let them walk, you know, and then on this fast flat, like 3-4%, my teammate attacked first in the front group, and then I attacked the three guys behind and came in the front and attacked them straight away, you know. So I knew that if I had a small gap, like then the fact of being two guys in front will help me, you know, because I knew Amel will help me behind with being in second or third position and not riding, you know, so it was perfect for me. I took some risk in the first part of the descent, and actually I didn't know any corners, so it was a bit blind. But, you know, like to win stage, you have to take some risk sometimes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
There. Let's go back to Alberto Contador. Another mechanical for him on the climb today. Dropped his chain, but he dealt with it very well again.
Yeah, I mean, surprisingly, he got a mechanical, especially his change run from maybe shifting from with the front gear. I don't know. Alberto is curious because he's not riding on electronic Shimano. He's riding on the mechanical. Sometimes the electronic is safer, so things like that on electronic is hard to happen. But we don't know. Might be that he's using the mechanical because the brake levers are different, and maybe that's the reason why. But the thing is that he had a mechanical there, but yeah, his car was right behind him, so it's better. It was not alone in that case, and his mechanic Faustino helped him, and everything went fine. But in this Giro, everything can happen still. So still, we are with that fear and scary about what can happen in every down, every corner. So it just adds more emotion for what he did.
That's true. Let's go see Philippe Gilbert on the podium today.
We're number 58 in the career of the 32-year-old Philippe Gilbert. The Belgian rider from BMC Racing, the American team backed by the Swiss man Andy Rees and his BMC bikes. The former world champion picking up his second win of this Giro d'Italia, adding to the one in 2009 when he was at Lotto. Win number 3 on this particular Grand Tour. They had plenty of time to enjoy it as well today. Well, they'll enjoy this. 3 days from the end, 3 days to hang on to Milan, and time for a champagne celebration. So his second visit to the podium, and that's made BMC's Giro.
Well, seeing Philippe Gilbert there on the podium, and of course here he is, as usual. Philippe, congratulations. Come over here, let's have a chat to Giro Extra. Philippe, what a great victory for you, a second this year. Was it a victory today that you had planned for or expected?
Yeah, in the meeting we said that except Caruso, everybody was free to go in the break, and then in the end it was a very fast start, like a lot of attacks, and then I knew the area of Varese because we did the opposite side of the World Championships in 2008. So I knew there it was very technical, and in fact we went away like 5k after that, you know, because everything was in one line, and then we hit some little climbs there, like 1k or something, and then one moment we went with I think 14 guys, and then 2 of them crashed, you know, because they hit something on the road, you know. But after it was perfect. I had also Melmona with me, teammate. So it was great because it's always important to have a support in the breakaway.
Great, Philippe. Congratulations once again. Great win for Philippe Gilbert. Let's have a look now at the general classification after today. We've already spoken about Alberto Contador putting more time into his rivals.
Alberto Contador certainly has put more time to his rivals. 5 minutes and 15 now from Mikel Landameana, the Basque rider from Astana. The Italian Fabio Aru, the best young rider still, is now at 6 minutes and 5. He's in third, but he has a minute almost of a gap on Andre Amador, the Costa Rican, in fourth from Movistar. A couple of minutes further back, Yuri Trofimov in fifth, with Koenig in sixth at 10:44. Caruso in seventh, Kruijswijk in eighth, with Ryder Huisdaal's ride taking him up into ninth place now, and just 8 seconds behind the Dutchman Kruijswijk. Genius is 10th as it stands.
It really is wrapped up, this Giro. How do you see those GC standings after today?
Well, I see it in the way that probably every winner of the Giro d'Italia wants to be, like with a big gap. I think Alberto now really can rely on that gap and that difference in between him and the other two immediate rivals. I mean, people, of course, they like sometimes to have smaller gaps in between them, but yeah, it's not because Astana didn't try. I mean, they try. We've seen a lot of action every day, so we're already having more action than we were expecting before this Giro d'Italia, with everything that happened, with the climbs. And it'll be more fights tomorrow and after tomorrow, because Colle di Finestra is not asphalt, dirt roads, gravel roads, everything that happened there. Better you have 6 minutes in advance, 5/5 maybe, rather than 50 seconds.
Okay, tomorrow we go to Cervinia, as Juan Antonio said. Thank you, Juan Antonio. But for now, it is Alberto Contador who remains in pink. See you tomorrow.
Alberto Contador in pink then for yet another day. Even more in pink. They can stop sewing that jersey on now. Over 5 minutes of advantage, as you can see. 5:15 from Mikel Landa, 6:05 from Fabio Aru, and barring a major problem, Alberto Contador will have to back himself to be wearing pink in Milan on Sunday. Anything can happen though, and we'll see that anything happen maybe over the next 3 days. You never know with this Giro d'Italia. Contador leads after stage 18. And this is what stage 19 looks like. Gravellona Torce to Cervinia, 5-star stage, and it's a mighty 236 kilometers all the way up to the ski resort in the Val d'Osta. We climb the San Bartolomé and San Pantaleon, climbs everywhere, and an uphill finish at 2,000 meters. So the penultimate mountain test tomorrow, live on Eurosport. Today was a day for Philippe Gilbert. Another day for the breakaway. A proper breakaway day though today. From 12 minutes to a 30-second advantage, and Gilbert took the win. Tomorrow we're live to Cervinia, stage 19, 1:15 if you're watching on British Eurosport. That is at 2:15 Central European time on Eurosport International. So So Gilbert coming across, taking the win behind the sprint between Moinard and Chavanel. Bongiorno also in there in second. A big day for the break. Contador more in pink, taking more time on his rivals. They could not distance themselves from one another. Winner on the day though, Philippe Gilbert for a second time on this Giro d'Italia. So from Alberto Contador, we're about to head over to Paris and the French Open, Roland Garros. Novak Djokovic taking a medical timeout in Paris. We'll hand you over to the commentators in just a moment to see the rest of that match. So much happening. We've already had the third ever longest women's match today. History being made at Roland Garros. Sean Kelly and myself, Rob Hatch, will see you tomorrow. From me and the rest of the team, thanks for joining us. Let's head to Paris and the French Open.